Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. This is a really interesting, sad, and kind of shocking episode because actor Jonathan Majors was just arrested tonight. There's just a long story behind it. I'm going to read some of it to you. And as you can imagine, the media is feasting on this. Everybody loves to see a hero go down. And if you if you've been following this brother, you know that Jonathan Majors is one of the most celebrated and respected actors in all of Hollywood. And he got that way because he's got so much talent. And I just hated to read this. So what I'm going to do is, without further ado, I'm just going to read to you what happened here. I'm going to have some other guests kind of join me tonight because I think this is worth talking about. There's so many different angles to discuss here. So here's what's being reported. Basically, it sounds like it's a domestic dispute. They said that he was busted in Manhattan Saturday on a charge of assault. Police described it as a domestic dispute. He was with a woman who they said was a 30-year-old woman, and he is a 33-year-old male. And they said the victim sustained minor injuries to her head and neck and was removed to an area hospital in stable condition. Majors has been charged with strangulation, assault, and harassment, according to police. And you've seen Jonathan in so many great movies. He's just been doing a great job. He is an extraordinary actor, and I just hated to see it. And of course, he's innocent till proven guilty. But y'all know how Hollywood is. Y'all know how Hollywood operates. He's going to be guilty till proven innocent. Y'all know as well as I do that this isn't going to be. This is going to be tough for him, especially in Hollywood, which is kind of the home of the Me Too movement. If you remember Nate, what's his face, the brother that did the movie about Nat Turner. You know what I'm talking about? I can't remember his last name. I want to say Nate Parker. The way they kind of dealt with him, it's kind of the same thing. Now, by the way, to get a different perspective, I wanted to bring in my wife, who is a licensed therapist and full professor of social work, Dr. Alicia Watkins. Hey, babe, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you
Hey,
hear
babe.
me? Is the question.
Yeah, I sure can. I sure can.
Okay.
Uh, so, um, so yeah. So So what are your thoughts on this arrest with Jonathan? I mean, it's a domestic situation. He was accused of strangling and beating up this lady. He's a big, strong black man. You know how that's going to be interpreted. What are your initial thoughts on this?
Oh my God, how could he do something like this that could potentially ruin his career at the top of his game? He's been everywhere. He's been all over magazine covers. He's doing all these questionable photo shoots. He is really he is living the life that every actor in Hollywood wants to achieve, and then this happens. It's kind of like, why couldn't he control himself or contain himself or think differently or act better? Because he just had a hit movie, right? You went to go see that movie, right? The What was it called? Creed 3. I mean, that was a
Yeah,
fab film from what I heard from you. So this is really something. He's coming off of a week where the movie was released last week, right? So he's coming off of a hit movie, and it seems like he's got a lot of other projects coming down the line. And then we have a domestic violence situation. Very unfortunate for him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of, I'm going to say this. I think that it's important to really, um, be thoughtful about and making sure we don't speculate on what he did or did not do. In fact, everybody give me a yes or no if you've ever seen a domestic situation that wasn't quite what it looked like it was, like where the man was made to look like he was being violent, or maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was, it was something that somebody else was doing, or something like that. And I'm not saying that this isn't something that's going on here. Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. But I think that it's what it made me really think about was not so much. I mean, obviously, here's the obvious answer to this, right? If he was beating up on a woman for any reason, strangling, punching, whatever, you don't do that, right? You don't put your hands on a woman, period. Especially, when you're a big man and you're 200 something pounds and all that stuff. Uh, but at the same time, it's like, relationships are hard. And you think about his life right now, he's probably under more stress than he's ever been under his whole entire life. Like, never has he gone through, like, he's literally the biggest star in Hollywood right now, the biggest star. So I can only imagine what's going on in their relationship. He was just on the cover of all these magazines as this massive sex symbol. You don't know what kind of insecurities that might have struck, in the mind of his significant other. I'm wondering if that created tension in the relationship that led it to spiral out of control like this. Again, this is massive speculation at that point, but I'd be curious, what are your thoughts on that in terms of just what might happen in a typical relationship between two young 30 somethings where one of them's, has had their life just changed massively in a very short period of time?
Well, I mean, the first thing you mentioned was that he had this allegation, and I don't think it really matters. To some extent, it does matter if he did it or if he didn't do it, because it sounds like his publicist mentioned that he's totally innocent. So, we don't know, but it's just the allegation. It's just the fact that here you have this black male face plattered all over social media and the news, and this sort of message that he is an abuser. I mean, allegedly, of course, we don't we don't really know, but it's the allegation in and of itself that's problematic. Would be problematic for him and problematic in terms of what we see as to like this big stereotype of black men. So that's the first thing I'm about to say. And the second thing is, yeah, you're probably right. Having all of that success, which is like basically overnight success, it puts a lot of pressure on you. I mean, he's been everywhere and anywhere, all of the parties, all of the oh my goodness, all of the Hollywood parties, he is invited, right? So he's wearing high fashion clothes. I mean, he's on the in crowd, and I can't imagine. We don't really know because I don't know what it's like to be under that much pressure, but it's a lot of pressure. And of course, when you're under so much pressure to perform, to be perfect, to operate in a certain way almost overnight, yeah, it puts strain on your relationship with your significant others. That's why you really need to have you need to be grounded, number one, and number two, you need to have a really strong support system that can keep you balanced, because Hollywood, it's a strange place. It's a weird kind of strange situation can pop up in Hollywood very easily, and so you do need you needed a great support system to keep you together. Another thing I will say is what's interesting is Creed 3. So I didn't see the movie, but it's a movie about fighting. And I just don't know what effect that has on the psyche of people who play a fighter on TV on to who I mean to be a good actor, you have to you have to put yourself in that role. My understanding of what acting, a little bit that I know, but you have to almost be of it. You have to like consume yourself with nothing but fighting. And so to come up with this movie, to make this movie, I think it probably years ago he filmed it and it was just released. But you're back into that space. And so actors become their role. And so I don't know how much of that has played a part in a domestic violence situation, because you just had this movie where you fought for, I don't know, for 2 hours. I imagine you were fighting on the screen. What that does to you as an actor, taking on that type of energy, for lack of a better word. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great point. And by the way, if you just tuned in, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. And my wife and I, we were discussing the recent arrest of actor Jonathan Majors. And Jonathan Majors, as you know, he was the star of the movie Creed 3, which just blew up the box office. I mean, just literally. And you know what's crazy? Remind me, babe, I got to bring this up because I want to connect this to the Will Smith situation. How you had
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
another black man, who just kind
Yeah.
of like got body slammed in the media right at the peak of his career, right?
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah. So there's so much to unpack on that. And but we'll get to that in a second. But by the way, if you're just coming in, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up. Make sure you share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Also, my wife. The reason this commentary is going to be a little bit different from what you're going to hear in mainstream media, because y'all know what media does. Media likes to drag black men and drag black women, and not really give a deep analysis of things. Well, my wife is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. So the goal here is to do a deep dive and really talk about relationships and figure out how do you navigate the complexities of this man's life and his girlfriend's life, and figure these things out. So please hit the thumbs up button. And also, Alicia's website is coachingwithdralicia.com. She sees clients on a regular basis. She has lots of books. Feel free to take a look. All right, so let me give you guys the story, the overview for those of you who just came in. Basically, actor Jonathan Majors was arrested in New York, and he was accused of in a domestic dispute of causing a woman to have some injuries to her head and her neck. He's charged with strangulation, assault, and harassment. Strangulation, assault. I mean, that just sounds terrible. And let's see here. They said
I
that.
mean, if you want, let me jump in. If you want to strangle somebody, you are trying to kill them. You're trying to like stop them from breathing, to
Yikes.
strangle them. I mean, that's different from throwing a shoe at somebody, from hit, even physical violence. That's different from physical violence. Like strangulation, it's an intimate way to attack somebody by strangling them. That puts you in a whole nother category among us
Mm.
as therapists. We're like, whoa, hold on. That's
And
strangulation.
and it is
Mhm.
interesting because it happened. It didn't happen like at nighttime. It happened at 11:15 a.m. Which was interesting to me. I thought maybe it happened at night, like maybe they were out partying and drinking or something like that, and
Oh,
then
in,
an
in
argument kind of went.
Hollywood, in Hollywood, people party and drink anytime. They don't have no regular. They're not on regular hours like the rest of us folks. So, who knows?
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
building up.
Well, you know what? It's well, he's not in Hollywood actually. He was in New York, right? So I don't know. In my mind, the reason I was asking for these little details, like what time did it happen, where were they, things like that, is because I try to in my mind imagine the context, and then I imagine being a 33-year-old man with dating a 30-year-old woman and just trying to figure this out, right? And then also, I read Jonathan Major's bio, and he's an interesting guy. Not only is he just an extraordinarily talented actor, but he got a little hood in him. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but I was reading. They said he had a difficult childhood. He grew up with recently released criminals, such as drug dealers or murderers, for neighbors who wore ankle monitors. Due to his neighbors having both negative and positive values, Majors felt some moral complexity within him. As a teenager, Majors faced numerous struggles. He was arrested for shoplifting, suspended from high school for getting into a fight, and at one point he lived in his car while working two jobs to make ends meet after being kicked out of his house. He eventually found a safe space in the world of theater where he found some solace and joined after watching Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight. So think about that. He got inspired to become an actor after watching The Dark Knight, in which Heath Ledger played that character where he
Oh,
killed
Heath
himself.
Ledger. That's so interesting because Heath Ledger, because I don't know if people realize this, but Jack Nicholson told Heath Ledger, listen, if you want to play the Joker, you need to come and talk to me, because playing roles like that has an impact on you. So I know that it was, and so I don't think it didn't end well for Keith Ledger. That's fascinating that he did that, and I almost feel like that's even the case with Will Smith, because when you saw Will Smith do the slap or whatever, he was almost in character. It's like it was almost as if
Wow.
he wasn't really Will Smith. These tell you something. You want to be to be a really good actor. It consumes you, and you need to have actors need to have a method in place of which where they can kind of release themselves from playing these roles, or it can take over your personality. I mean, it happened. Even remember the movie Ray with who was the guy that played? I'm so bad with names, but the movie Ray, it was played
Jamie Foxx?
Jamie Foxx, right? They say he would just walk around all day like he was blind. And he would just like
Wow.
he didn't get out of character. And you have to do that to be good at what you the craft, do it good at what you do. So it's a double-edged sword being in Hollywood and being a really good actor and really taking on that role. But the problem, the downside, the ugly side of it is just being able to have a system in place and really skilled actors know how to do this, where they can remove themselves of that role and then get back to who they are and get grounded again. So, it happens, and it happens to the best of them. But the people who've been around long enough know. And so maybe this is just him being new at this process of really taking on the role, and he needs to figure out how he can remove himself from it. But it also hmm, seems like he has a violent past. His
Well,
past is a little sketchy. Hmm.
he does, right? And I think that can be, considered, right? It has to be, right? Everything has to be. Um, but I was really taken by, like, let's start there. There were so many when I see this brother, I relate to him because I
Hmm.
feel like I understand certain things about him. Maybe being a fellow black man, or also going through scenarios where I was surrounded by criminals or traumatized, or I've lived in my car before. I know what that feels like. I know the ups and downs of life, right? I don't talk about it as much as I probably could, but I know what it's like to be hurt. I know what it's like to be threatened. I know what it's like to be scared. I know what it's like to fight. I know what it's like to, um, just be in situations where it ain't clear. It's not like life is not black and white. And I think that with this brother, I saw that coming out of his acting, and so what really got my attention. I don't know if I'm concerned about this or not, but when I read that he was inspired to become an actor by watching this particular character, the Joker, when
Yeah.
he saw Heath Ledger play the Joker. I just want it's think about this. I mean, again, I'm not even this is not even speculating on whether he's guilty of this crime or not. I think the evidence is gonna, reveal itself whether or not he actually beat up his girlfriend or strangled her or not. I mean, the strangulation and all that, the domestic violence is very serious. My suggestion to all brothers is, if you get in a situation where it gets out of pocket, you need to walk away. Get out. Just walk away. Get out. Walk away. Because it doesn't matter when the police show up and they see a big, strong, muscle-bound black man and a woman with any injuries whatsoever, they're probably going to lock you up. So that's my 2 cents on that. But when I saw that this brother had this really tough past, I empathize with him. I empathize with that abandonment and struggle he felt. And then the fact that it was this particular character that inspired him to become an actor, I said, I get it. Now I know why he's the best damn actor in Hollywood right now. Now I know why. Well, because this was one of the most masterful uh, works of art in the history of all Hollywood. Like, in terms of acting at its absolute best, Heath Ledger died at the tip top of his game, playing the greatest role that he'd ever played, and he played the shit out of that role. I don't know if anybody else saw Heath Ledger as a Joker. It was phenomenal, right? Now, what's fascinating is that there's some people who believe that that's what an amazing piece of art will do. It will literally take so much out of you that you will literally go off a cliff. Like there. I remember saw a movie where they pretended like on this other planet there were these opera singers who would train their whole life to be able to hit a certain high note, and then as soon as they hit the high note, they would just kill themselves on stage. Right?
Oh
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I've done it. I've done it at the top of my game. Now I could just die. Right? So, like, with Heath Ledger, he killed this role, but the role killed him. Right? And so to see that this brother saw that role and said, "Okay, I'm gonna be that type of actor," that tells me he's serious as shit about what he does. And it also makes me worry about him a little bit, because he's got that ability to to display that range of emotion where you're watching, you're like, wow, he really is the villain. Oh, he really is the good guy. He really is the hero, right? But then it makes you wonder, how do you get to that point? What makes you into that person? What trauma do you have to experience to be able to do that? Do you have to use drugs to get there? Because I think Heath Ledger used drugs. I really believe he did. What dark sides do you have to have? And I know you're an expert on how everybody has, we have our shadow self and all that stuff. It makes me wonder, what do your dark sides look like when you're able to play villains in a certain way? And maybe I'm thinking too much of it, but that's kind of what's going through my mind as I'm kind of looking at this. What do you think?
Listen, what we know is us as human beings, we can transform and become any and everything we want to become. And actors know this. So when they see a role and they look at the character and they see the script and they get into the situation, how are they feeling that way? You connect with the character. It's part of the acting process. You say, okay, this character is upset and let down and disappointed. Where in my life have I been upset, let down, and disappointed? How can I connect to this character? How did this character speak to me as a person? And what can I do? How can I bring my own experiences so that I can transform into this role? And it ain't like reading lines, you're just reading lines and saying things. No, it's being believable across the screen. And you know it. We go to the movies because we know when a Jack Nicholson film comes out, we're going to go because we know he's going to deliver. We know he's going to stop becoming who he is and become someone else. And that is really an art form. It is something I have total respect for, that art form, that whole process. And I know we were talking, I'm going to bring in another point because I know we were talking about actors saying, I don't want to be called a black actor. I really want to be called an actor. And like, I've been thinking about
Well,
that
you talking
more
about,
and
you talking
more.
about Idris Elba, right?
Idris Elba, but it's a
Okay.
trend that a lot of people in Hollywood have been saying, a lot of black actors, if I should say, have been saying that in Hollywood, but it makes sense. It's like, it's part of that whole transcending race and transcending everything so that you can become pure craft with what you want to do. Right. And so in order to do that, it's a magical little process that happens. And I think that's just something that just happens with us because as human beings, we can transform into anything that we want to be. Like your name is Boyce because that's who you are as Boyce, but you can become Dr. Boyce Watkins, which is really interesting because I've always known you as Boyce. But you transform when you get on screen and camera in front of an audience. You become Dr. Boyce Watkins. But, hours later, you're just Boyce, my husband. It's different roles that we get into. And of course, all of those different facades, it's really not a fake facade. It's really who you are. I mean, you're being very genuine. All of us are being genuine in our different roles that we play. And so it's just a beautiful thing how we transform. I love the art. I love it. And that's why it's so easy for like musical artists to be able to transform into acting. It's so easy for actors to be able to transform into dancers, into singers, into all of these different areas, like Queen Latifah and people like that are just talented individuals who are able to transform into this character. Beautiful,
Hmm.
beautiful.
Well, everybody, in
I don't
case you
know what
just
my point was.
well, it's okay, man. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
In case you just came in, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and this is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And we do Pillow Talks because we're both professors, and we like to take conversations that are happening in the community and see if we can elevate those conversations. And Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and full professor of social work, and she sees clients on a regular basis. So if you'd like to know what she does or learn more about it, you can visit coachingwithdralicia.com. That's what she looks like. That's my beautiful wife, and I love her very much. And we created Pillow Talk in order to allow us to just have some good conversations about the important things happening in our community and encourage our people to think about things in a deep and intelligent way. So the topic for tonight, as you hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, everybody, thumbs up, share, subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell. The topic is Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors is the star of the movie Creed, and Creed has done extremely well at the box office. In fact, I'll give you guys a rundown of the Creed box office numbers in a second. And it's what's really screwed up here. In fact, I'm looking it up right now. This movie's made almost $250 million. 228 million is the latest on the Creed 3 box office numbers. So this brother has been absolutely murdering the game. He has been he did an amazing job in that movie. He was amazing in the movie Ant-Man. I gained a lot of respect for him as an actor when I saw him play that role. And it's just really sad to hear that he got arrested. According to the police, he has a girlfriend apparently that he lives with who's accusing him of strangling her and things like that. Now, here's the thing. I believe deeply in innocent until proven guilty. We know how Hollywood operates. We know how the media operates. We know that when it comes to black men and accusations, that's enough to take a black man down. We know these things, and that's why I'm asking everybody to refrain judgment until you know all the facts. But at the same time, when you learn the facts, you can't be scared to look at what might really be going on. A lot of times we want to believe that if somebody is our hero or somebody is our favorite actor or whatever, that they can't possibly have done the thing that they were accused of doing. A lot of people didn't believe that Tory, what's his face, Tory Lanez could have ever shot Megan Thee Stallion in the foot. And I personally think the situations are more complex than that. So one of the things I was thinking about, babe, was like, do you think that it's a? I mean, what do you think about the fact that? I mean, one thing that's interesting that came to mind was that when this took place, when Jonathan got arrested, it's like, okay, so it's he's at the peak of his career, and then there's like this crazy calamity that goes on. The same damn thing happened to Will Smith. Like
Yeah.
literally, Will was having the greatest night of his life. He'd been waiting 30 years to win Best Actor, and on the night he gets Best Actor, he slaps Chris Rock, and this all this chaos happens. Do you think that there's a coincidence there? Like, do you think that there's something about just like the amount of pressure that might come with being that famous and that successful, or something that can just create the possibility for weird shit to happen like this? I don't know. I mean, what do you think? I mean, or am I just forming a connection between two things that don't have a connection? And as you say
No.
that, and after you answer this question, I just want you to know our food is here. So, yeah,
Oh, it's sitting out right now on the front porch, getting cold.
it
Okay.
is sitting on the front porch getting cold. So you can
Okay.
answer, give the short answer, get the food, and bring me my food, and then I will respond to your answer, and then
You
we'll
are
just
so
play it like that. Go ahead,
you
babe.
are okay. H.E. Sutton. Okay. Well, I mean, look, Will Smith should know better because he's been in the game for a very long time. I mean, he's been in media. He's been in media since he was a teenager. I mean, and he should have had a way of containing himself a little more. But that tells you how powerful movies are and how powerful Hollywood is in taking on these roles. Somebody like Jonathan Majors, who's like an instant blow up. It was. I mean, he's been doing little roles here and there. Oh my goodness! Did you see Lovecraft Country with me? Oh, they're ringing the doorbell. Lovecraft Country. Did you see that TV show he did?
I saw some of it, and somebody in the chat mentioned that he did a great job in Lovecraft Country.
Oh my
And
God, he
if you
did
want to go get
a
the food, you
wonderful
can.
job. Okay, I'm gonna go get the food. Well, I can still talk and get the food, but yes, he did such a great job in that film, and I could totally see why Creed 3 would be like the hit. You got two black men taking their shirt off, and they've been to the gym. They've been to the gym. I can see why that movie would be a hit. They ain't been hiding from the gym. They're very well trained to take on that role. It probably took them years to get ready and to film and do all of that. So I can totally see how much dedication it takes in something like that. Did you tell the people to leave the food at the door? Or are they waiting on me?
I think the guys outside. Just it says
Okay.
he's 1 minute away, so just stand by the door. You'll see him.
No, he rang the doorbell. I heard
I
the
know,
doorbell.
baby. They don't need to hear about our Uber Eats orders. So
Okay.
what?
So
Go ahead.
anyway, we're hungry. So this is pillow talk. People coming in for pillow talk, they're gonna get everything. They're gonna get the
Okay.
real deal in our
All right.
household.
Back to
But
Jonathan Majors.
Jonathan Majors, and yeah, so I mean, Lovecraft Country was just like so phenomenal, and so this was where I was kind of surprised. He just seemed to be everywhere, like everywhere, all of a sudden, and so I really do wish that I wish that we can continue to see him. I don't think that your career needs to be over just because of this issue. Like, there are a lot of white Hollywood stars who have some domestic issues, but that doesn't mean they lose their job. So I would hate for him to kind of crash and burn because of this. I would love for him to go and see and get some help and to figure a way where he can balance his life and the stress and the pressure and just transform again into someone better than he was when he was allegedly choking somebody. I don't know anybody that would lie about someone choking them, but it is possible. And when I talk about Hollywood, by the way, I'm not talking about the place Hollywood. I'm talking about just Hollywood, like it's Hollywood going on in this house sometimes. So I'm talking about kind of like Hollywood as a,
Right.
not a
Yeah. Well,
noun, but
well,
you
when,
Hollywood in me.
when you talk about domestic disputes, I know Johnny Depp had a big trial where he was accused of, of some domestic violence scenarios. And what I liked about the Johnny Depp trial was that Johnny Depp really fought back. He was losing a lot of opportunities because he was being accused of being abusive. And what was going on, according to a lot of people, was that his ex-girlfriend, whatever she was basically exploiting the Me Too movement to paint him in a negative way, right? To just basically said, because I'm a woman, I can make stories up about you, and people will believe me because I'm a woman, because they have weird slogans like "Believe all women." And Johnny Depp fought back. He went to court. Of millions of dollars were lost, though. His career will never be the same. But she paid a penalty for that, and I think that that's the interesting thing here. This is really, I think, a case in point in terms of a lesson. I don't know Jonathan Majors, but one of the things I would definitely have warned him about if I were his older brother or even his dad. I guess I'm old enough to be his father now. Is I would say, son, look, the ladies want to be around you, but if the situation gets out of hand, it could destroy everything that you've worked for. I remember when I took my job at Syracuse University, and I was Jonathan's age, and I got that job on the faculty. I was making six figures. I was a single black man making six figures with a PhD. So there wasn't, so there wasn't a shortage of, interest and female attention and all this other stuff. But I remember my father warned me about little things like it's like sleeping with women on the job. He said, um, it's going to be tempting. Girls are going to want you, but do you really want to risk everything you have in order, to get whatever she's offering to you? And you have to take your time to get to know what kind of people you allow around you. Now, again, I don't know how much of this applies to him. I'm really thinking in general. I'm really thinking in terms of what I would say to other black men. I would give you the absolute clearest advice I would give you is, if you are a young black man and you're in a relationship, never allow it to get the argument to go beyond a certain point. Like, there's a point where you must take control of your role in that situation. Never allow the argument to go beyond a certain point. What does that mean? That means, I don't care how crazy she is. I don't care what she's doing to you. I don't care what she said to you. I don't care who she slept with. I don't care if she hit you, threw a knife at your head. Leave the situation. Walk away. Just shut it down, shut the door, walk out, and then maybe never come back. Because what I'm looking at with this brother is he's gonna have a hard time recovering from this. I don't think Hollywood, there's gonna be a segment of Hollywood that's always gonna look at him with the side eye. There's gonna be a segment of Hollywood that's gonna look at him and basically just say, we don't know about this guy. And I don't know if he deserves it or not. I mean, I don't know what he did. I don't know what she did. I don't know any of that. I just know he was arrested, and he's the one that's being accused. She was not arrested. She was not accused. So I hope you'll tell that to your sons.
No,
Babe, did you have a response to that?
yeah, I was listening as I was getting the food. Sorry if I was smacking, but yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And I really wouldn't want his career to absolutely collapse because of this situation. And I hope he doesn't feel like it's a catastrophe. But you mentioned walk away, and I want to add a little bit to that, because it's not just walking away. Like, if it's a girlfriend of his that he truly respects, hopefully he respects her. You do need to walk away when things get escalated, but you also need to say, I care enough about you where I want to come back to this conversation, but we need to walk away for the moment. And you owe another part of that conversation where you can say, I'm going to walk away. We're going to talk about this in a couple of hours. Like, circle back, because you don't want to just put a pin in a conversation and just end the conversation and never ever bring it up again. So sometimes it is good to walk away, but I think that, because withdrawal is one of the four behaviors that people do in the middle of an argument that doesn't help, right? So a very helpful thing to say is to say, we're getting elevated here. We definitely don't want to I have too much on the line. My career is on the line. This could get in the media. I don't want this to spin out of control. Part of it is having the self-discipline to be able to say, this doesn't need to escalate. Let's take a break and let's come back and talk about this later when we're all thinking clearly. Because when you're in that triggered state, you're not thinking clearly. You're always going to say things you're going to end up apologizing for and regretting. When you're in a triggered state, you're always going to do things clearly that you would never do when you're nice, calm, and relaxed. So I think that's the biggest thing. Like what happened between them, where things escalated all the way up to where you just want to strangle somebody. Like that's not healthy. And a 32-year-old, a 18-year-old, children, all of us, we all need to know how to avoid those types of situations.
Well, you know what? And by the way, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. I'm a finance professor. My wife is a full professor of social work and a licensed therapist. Her website, she sees clients. Her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. And me, I have a new book out. If you want to go take a look, it's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is the number one bestseller on Amazon in the public finance category. So if you'd like to go take a look at that, feel free to go to Amazon, or you can also go to boycewatkins.com and take a look at that. And feel free to join us in Houston also for the Black Wealth Boot Camp on April 21st. So if you'd like to join us in Houston, just go to boycewatkins.com. I'll be there for 2 days. So let me ask you all, a question then. Okay, so, here's the thing, right? So, I think that what you said makes perfect sense. And I'd like to ask everybody if they can identify this person. Tell me who this person is. Does anybody know who this person is? Give me a yes if you know who this person is. If you
Oh
know
my
who he
goodness,
is,
yes.
type his name in the chat.
He's
Um,
another really wonderful actor.
yeah, great actor, great director, great filmmaker. He's right there with Michael B. Jordan and Nate
Yes.
and Jonathan Majors in terms of talent and skill, just off the chain.
He was in my favorite movie. Oh my goodness. If Bill
Yes,
Street could talk. If Bill Street could talk. Watch
yes.
that movie. Oh my God. It blew me away. I've never seen such a beautiful love story on screen between a black man and a black woman than If Bill Street Could Talk. That movie and the soundtrack to the movie is just wonderful. And I love James Baldwin. It was a film by James Baldwin, a book by James Baldwin, and they made it into a film. And he acted his little butt off. Yes, I love him. Is he out? Is he on the outs?
No, well
What's up?
let me finish telling my story, babe. All
Okay,
right,
I'm sorry. I got
so
excited.
yes, so Nate Parker, extraordinary talented actor. Now y'all remember what happened when he came out with his Nat Turner movie, right? Y'all remember? If in case you don't remember, there was a girl that he says slept with him when he was 18. Now, mind you, Nate's in his 30s by now. 30s, I think he had a wife and kids and all that. But apparently, a lady he slept with in when he was 18 claimed that he assaulted her. Right now, again, years and years later. Um, so right when his movie Birth of a Nation was the hottest thing in Hollywood, just like Jonathan Majors is the hottest thing in Hollywood, just like Will Smith was the hottest thing in Hollywood.
Mm.
Um, they somehow this story comes out where he allegedly assaulted this woman, you know, literally like 15 years earlier, in that he was the reason that she eventually killed herself and everything else. So they were putting all this stuff on him. And as a result, his movie flopped. It didn't do as well as it should have done. It was an excellent movie. Um, Tens of millions of dollars were lost, in a lot of his personal wealth and the wealth of the people invested in that film. And what this really makes me think about as a black wealth expert and as a black man is how much black wealth gets lost from situations like this. Like when you're talking about false accusations, how many trillions of dollars throughout history have been lost for the black community when black men were falsely accused of a crime they didn't commit? Like a lot of people don't know this, but how many of y'all knew this? Did you know that 50, 60 years ago, if you had a bunch of land and they wanted your land, do you know how they could get your land? Falsely accuse you of a crime, get you locked up, and then take all your shit while you locked up because you can't pay taxes on your land while you in jail. That's what they do. This happened in my own family. That's how I know it happens. I've had I have descendants who were hung from trees for standing up to white folks. I had a great grandfather or triple great grandfather who ran the whole damn town, had built a ton of money and wealth, and the white people killed him and took it. So this whole idea of false accusations or being stuck in questionable situations, particularly with either women, especially white women, that's been a consistent loss of life, freedom, and wealth for black men throughout history. So every black man who wants to protect his assets needs to know how to protect his space. If you want to protect your wealth, you need to be thoughtful about who is around you at all times. If you want to protect what you got to think about what women you keep. You got to think about what homies you got around you. You got to think about what cousins and friends you got around you. Because every one of you, give me a yes in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. Every one of you knows of an example of somebody who lost it all because they were in the car with the wrong person, or they got into a fight with the wrong person, or they got into a domestic dispute with the wrong person, or they got falsely accused by the wrong person. So I'm not sitting here trying to say, I'm not sitting here trying to say Jonathan Majors is guilty or innocent. I'm not saying that at all. So do not take what I'm saying to mean that I am pro or con in this situation. I don't know what the hell happened with this thing with this woman. I don't know. But when I'm thinking about this, I'm just thinking about the amount of chess that you have to play, not just to get to where he's at, but you got to play fourth dimensional chess to stay where he's at. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? If you can't do that, if you get up there and you get to the top and you get up there and you're like, look at me, I'm the man. I got all the money. I got all the women. All the girls want me. And you're not, and you ain't keeping your head on a swivel and ain't got good people around you, ain't got people beside you looking out for you. Oh, they gonna come get it. They gonna come get it quick because guess what, homie? You will become target number one. Period. Period.
Okay. All right. So
Go ahead, babe. I'm done
I hear
talking.
what you're saying. I hear what you're
I'm
saying,
gonna
and
come grab my food. I've been waiting for you to bring my cheeseburger. So I'd like to.
I'll bring it up now. I can bring it up and talk.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, babe.
No, what I hear you saying makes such good sense because you know what? Nate Parker played Nat Turner, which is a very powerful piece. You know, outsmarting white slaves is like a pretty awesome thing that I think there has been.
You're drifting off, babe. Can't nobody hear you now.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's
Okay.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
But
so I mean, to play a role um, to play that type of role above Nat Turner, that's very powerful. And Will Smith played a very powerful black man in his role. And Jonathan Majors in Ant Man, he played a very powerful role too. Where like for hundreds or whatever years, he was like the most powerful man out there. I mean, there was nothing more powerful than him in that movie Ant Man. And I think so now you're getting into like this Hollywood ritual thing that I try not to even talk about. But it seems like to me, it's almost like that sort of image. If you're going to play a powerful black man on television, now we have to do something to bring you down. So there's always some scandal behind any black man in Hollywood who asserts their manhood. But to counteract that, because we know the subconscious mind, we see black men in this way as powerful, wonderful, saving, doing all these wonderful things. We have to counter that with something happening in real life, because remember, it doesn't matter, it's all media to us. So maybe subconsciously we need to have something to kind of neutralize it. So that's what I think could be happening. Go ahead, I'm going to bring your sandwich up now. Okay.
okay, thank you, babe.
All
I
right.
appreciate it. By the way, you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. In case you just came in, we're talking about the recent arrest of actor Jonathan Majors. If you could do 1 second, we are trying to create strong, intelligent black media that represents what intelligent black people want to hear. So if you'd like to, if you believe in that and you'd like to support us, please just hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you hit the share, subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you have not done that yet. Also, you may or may not know, but if you text the word Boyce to 31996, text Boyce to 31996, you can get text alerts when we go live and stuff like that. I'll put that on the screen. And also, Dr. Alicia's website is coachingwithdralicia.com if you'd like to see what she does. So let me read some of this to you guys. So in case you didn't hear it in the beginning, or if you want to hear it again. So apparently, according to the Daily Beast, they said that there's a preliminary investigation to determine that a 33-year-old male was involved in a domestic dispute with a 30-year-old female. The victim informed police she was assaulted. Officers placed the 33-year-old male into custody without incident, adding that the unnamed victim, quote, sustained minor injuries to her head and neck and was removed to an area hospital in stable condition. TMZ, which of course was the first to break the news, reports that Majors is no longer in police custody. The outlet cited unnamed law enforcement sources to say the alleged actor is the victim's girlfriend, and that the two had gotten into an argument while heading home in a taxi. A rep for the Star denied the allegations against him, saying he's done nothing wrong. We look forward to clearing his name and clearing this up. Now, what's also interesting about this to me that comes to mind is I'm wondering what goes through the mind of a woman when suddenly your boyfriend is one of the biggest sex symbols in all of Hollywood. I can only imagine that might possibly cause some jealousy or some issues there. I'm not sure, but that's another thought that comes to mind. And one thing I would say too is, generally speaking, for anybody that's trying to manage their relationship, I encourage you to get some help. You know, all of us have disputes, all of us have fights and conflicts, and there's a way you can handle your disputes. In fact, when they did a study to determine which couples would stay together and which ones wouldn't, it wasn't about how often they got into fights. It was really, how did you respond when the fight started? If you're an escalator, like if you're a person who escalates a conflict, like you pull out a knife, I pull out a gun, that type of person, then your relationship isn't going to last because you're basically pouring grease on a grease fire. But if you are a person who de-escalates conflicts and looks for resolution, then you have a greater likelihood of your relationship lasting. Alicia, what do you think about what I just said?
I wasn't paying attention to all of it because I was walking around. But you know what I want to say? He was not in If Bill Street Can Talk. He looks just like that guy. Nate Parker did not do If Bill Street Could Talk.
Yeah, I noticed that. I just didn't want
I
to.
was like, oh man, I was all
Yeah,
passionate.
you
I
were
was so
so
passionate
excited
about
about
that
the movie, and
movie.
I just said I'm not going to correct her. But go ahead.
Let me tell. Can I just say? I'm gonna digress for a second. Man, I have been a dance mom all day. I just want to change the subject real quick. I've been with Miss Tay Tay. She's gonna be an actress too. She's gonna be a star actress, and she's gonna have herself together though. But we can still gotta keep her grounded. We gotta keep her going in acting. But I was a dance mom all day long, so I've been up since I feel like the crack of dawn, sitting around doing costume changes and recording everything. It's just in a very uncomfortable space. So
Right.
any other dance moms out there, y'all know how I feel. So it's been a long day. So that's why I got If Bill Street Could Talk. I got it wrong, but that's still a good movie. I still encourage
That's
everybody
okay, babe. So
to
what do you think about what I was saying before about um ways to manage conflict? Because I think there are a lot of people who go through conflicts like this in relationships. I mean, how many of you in the chat have ever been in just a really embarrassing fight with somebody where it got out of control? It got out of control. You end up both looking stupid. Maybe the police got called, and you're just like, "What am I doing here?" That's how I used to feel. Like when I would have stuff like that happen in a relationship, I would just be like,
Wait,
"Why
you
am I?"
got police called on your voice?
Well, it was more like it would just be to the point where it would just get out of control, and I would be like, "This is so stupid. Like, why am I even here? How did this happen?" Right? And so, but when you're young, you don't know how to deal with that. So, what do you think? I mean,
Well, I mean, we have to bring it down to examples, because we could talk real big, all day long. But the thing is, like, I mean, you were talking about how is it that when I'm in these situations, why does it Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, this is you and other
No, no, no. What I mean
another
though is like,
woman,
what I
but
mean
I
is
don't
like,
know. But I'm just
no, no, no,
saying,
no. No,
uh-huh.
what I'm saying is like, can you help people out there that end up in these situations that want to minimize them, that want to fight, that want to reduce? You know what I mean? Like if you're in a
Well, the
situation
thing
like that,
is,
what do you do?
yeah, I mean, the thing is that conflict is inevitable. Everybody, you're going to have a situation where you're in a relationship with someone and you two have two different perspectives. You're coming at a situation from two different angles. How could you not? You're two different people. And the thing is that you have to just understand. The first step is understand that if you're someone who's so scared of conflict, maybe you have a history or a past where conflict is always paired up with fear, where anytime someone has an opinion that's different from yours or you have an opinion that's different from someone else's, do you tend to just hide away and say, I don't even want to say how I feel and what I think because I'm afraid of conflict. So I think you need to get out of that, because if that means that you're not having conversations, you're not getting to know each other, you're not curious about each other. So the first thing is just know that conflict is just something that you can never ever avoid. Conflict is healthy in healthy relationships. So it's just an opportunity to get to know someone better. That's the first thing. The second thing is that just this is where you need to stop, slow the conversation down, and just listen to what someone else is saying. Oh my God, here's someone with a different perspective than me. Let me listen to what they're saying. And especially if you're dating, that's when you really need to close it and really have your ears need to be you need to have laser sharp ears, because that's how someone is telling you who they are. And you have to decide, is this somebody I want to have a future with? So you do have to do a whole lot of listening, not trying to listen to fight, not trying to listen to argue, not trying to listen to combat what they're saying, not listening to tell them that they're wrong, but really listen to understand what someone is saying. That's the biggest thing. And getting their perspective, and then they have to do the same for you. They have to listen to you. And that's didn't happen with Jonathan Majors. If he just could have stopped and said, hold on, whatever's going on with his girlfriend, if she's insecure about his instant fame, or if she's upset about something, we don't know, we're speculating. But whatever it is, there wasn't a lot of listening going on. It definitely escalated, because the biggest thing that to escalate a conflict into an argument is not to listen to each other. That if you ever been in a conversation with someone and they don't hear anything that you're saying, that's so frustrating, right? So,
Hmm.
know that conflict is real. Be able to listen to each other. It's their way of telling you who they are. And I think it's a wonderful way to just accept it, accept the differences. So that's
Well,
one of the biggest things. Mhm.
well, let me just say this. I hope that Jonathan Majors is not. Um, I hope that he didn't do anything wrong. I hope that this is all a big mistake. These charges of strangulation, assault, and harassment. I think that's pretty bad. And really, I'm kind of wondering, the woman that he was in the situation with. I wonder, what was going on in terms of, not that I don't know if this should matter or not, but I wonder if it was a scenario where she wanted to press those charges, or if they forced her to press those charges based on her appearance of injury or her original story. Um,
Oh, I think
you
it
know,
depends on the state of New York, whatever their laws are. Like there are some laws where if there's a domestic situation coming out and police are called and they come to your house, someone's getting arrested. And it's up to the police to decide who's getting arrested. Like you can't just be calling the police because you're mad at somebody and using it as a weapon against your partner, and police are coming out over and over again. So sometimes it just depends on the state that you're in. Some states say no, I don't have to arrest anybody. The police can come out and make a decision about what's going on. Maybe they need diversion, maybe someone does need to be arrested. They have to assess whether there's a safety issue. So it all depends on what the state of New York and what their policies are. It's not uniform across America, so it's different there.
yeah,
But if
well,
mhm.
the reason I
but if
wonder
they
about it.
saw if they saw marks on her neck and her face, yeah, he's probably going to be arrested. That's a crime. It's a
Well,
crime.
actually, he was arrested, and they already
Yeah.
released him, so he's not in jail right now. But the reason I asked that question is because, um, that just little facts like that I think can make a difference in terms of trying to understand the context of the situation. Because if these were minor injuries, and they said that these were minor injuries, at least from what I read, they didn't. They said it wasn't anything significant, nothing that required her to be in the hospital or anything like that. He was released almost immediately. And if she still chose, like, okay, I'm going to press these charges, I'm going to really press these charges. It makes you wonder, like, well, why not just, say, look, I'm not going to press these charges because I don't want to destroy your whole career. Just stay away from me. You
Well,
choke,
it could.
you did this to me one time. I didn't like
Mhm.
it. Now you got to go. And I just say that because I want to ask a really hard question. Is there a difference between someone harming a person in a significant way versus someone harming a person in a way where they're going to be all right? There's a little bit of discomfort, and in that second case, if there's so much at stake, like if his whole life is going to be ruined, let's say theoretically, let's say this could lead to him going to prison and losing his whole acting career, would it be wrong for me to say, you know, just keep those two away from each other? Like that way he can go on with his life, she can go on with her life. There's no need to make it any bigger than what it already is. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, first of all, it may not have been her choice. So sometimes if the police says, "Oh, this is clearly," if they get a statement from her, and because remember, it's illegal to put your hands on somebody. So sometimes, depending on what's happening, they could just say, "No, I got word from her that he assaulted her. I saw what she said, and that her injuries are syncing up. The stories are syncing up. I'm going to arrest her." That's illegal. You go to jail for that. And you could get your lawyers come in, they could bail you out, but he has a court date and he has to come back to court. So it may not have been her choice whether she want. I mean, they could say you if you press charges or not, it doesn't matter. We're still going to pursue this, or she may have an order of protection. That he can't contact her or whatever. That's what normally happens, like an emergency order of protection, particularly if there's like visual, if you could see. And anyway, even if there was no injuries, if you're mad at somebody and you put your hands on somebody out of anger, that, I mean, I'm sorry, that's domestic violence, and that is not to be accepted at all. Also, another thing of getting into what the girlfriend might be thinking, this may not have been his first time. It could be that he has had a history of putting his hands on her, um, out of anger. And maybe this last time she's like, "Look, I'm pressing charges because I'm tired of this," which it does happen quite a bit, where women are just like, what, it's been going on for quite a while. Because usually domestic violence, not to say that this is what's happening between them, but we'll just say typically in couples, if there's a domestic violence situation, it's happened several times before the police is even called. It's not like the very first time and then you call the police. It could be like, "Look, you've done this so many times. You need help. I'm calling the police," or, "I feel like I'm in danger." He could have threatened her. You never know. Like she felt her life was in danger and she could have been harmed, so she called the police for protection.
Mm. Well, what do you think? What if I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out here to process. What if she hit him first? What if she was mad because maybe him being this Hollywood sex symbol, there's a little jealousy in the mix. Maybe something happened with some other girl, and she threw hands on him, and he responded. Does that matter, or is it irrelevant given the fact that he's so much physically stronger than most women would be?
I don't think it matters. I mean, it could be a 5 foot, 100 pound woman. It's still illegal for that person to strike somebody, anybody. I don't care who and what you look like. But I think that's why you have a court date. I think the police do their best. They separate the couple. They talk to one person, the one party, and another police officer talks to the other party, and they write down what they say verbatim, because it's important to get what they have to say. They write a police report, and then they put their heads together and they say, "Here's what she says, here's what he says, what should we do?" Like, the police have a lot of it's street level bureaucracy for police. They have to make a decision on the spot about who to arrest. And so typically they really do. I mean, women can be arrested too. There are a lot of women in domestic violence prevention programs all the time. We have to take those classes. I mean, the court will say you need to take these 26-week classes, partner. It's called PAPE classes, partner partner something intervention program. So anyway, I can't remember exactly what it is, but there's these there's these classes you have to take, like court mandated classes, and if you don't take those classes, you go to jail.
Mm.
So I mean, you go to court, you say your side of the story, he says his side of the story, and then the judge makes a decision. I mean, it's really difficult if it's he said, she said, but if she has physical marks on her body and it's just gonna be it's gonna be tell me what happened. They'll get down to the intricate details of what happened between them, and that a court has to decide who's at fault.
Well, you know what? I think that what's going to probably happen, I have no doubt. I bet you anything this is going to definitely come down to money. I see, a $20 million lawsuit being filed or something like that. And which unfortunately it harms the credibility of the accusation. Not to say that it would take it away, because all these things could have occurred, but the fact that these situations always come down to money, they always come down to money, money, money. That's why I would just advise anybody who's got money, like, you got to be real careful, because people will find any reason to want to take you to court and sue you and all that. But I guess I'm processing all this because even beyond the money, like, I think that he can survive the financial side of it, or even some of the reputational side of it, because I think he's so talented and he's so entrenched. I mean, he's a villain for Marvel. Marvel is an organization that is very careful about who they develop into the stars of their franchises. They don't mess around. So this is going to cause him some challenges, but I think that there's some people that are so heavily invested in him that they're going to try to stick with him and work him through this. But I guess the thought that I have too is, and the reason I asked those weird questions earlier is because I was like, I think that one of the reasons that so many people instantly jumped out to Jonathan Major's defense when it first happened, because I saw Madam President, I shared her comments on my Instagram. She instantly came out and said, women lie to, he's guilty till proven innocent. He's very talented. Let's not throw him away. And you have a lot of people, that male and female, that will jump out and automatically defend. As much as there are people that will attack the hell out of a black man in this situation, there are people that will instantly defend without having the facts, right? Won't even know. Like, for all you know, you could be defending a serial killer, but people will jump out and defend because they've seen just how heavy the consequences are, right? A false accusation, in some cases, you were talking about things like getting 25 years in prison, where you're getting beaten up and raped for the next quarter century of your life, you're like having your freedom and your life taken away. So I think it's because the consequences are so great, right? So if an accusation was something that led to, the loss of some money, or maybe a couple years in house arrest or something like that, I don't think people will be as sensitive to the possibility of the accusation being false. But I think it's the magnitude of the consequences that it really makes people so sensitive to it. Like, I see Jack Crispy mentioned Ray Rice. Ray Rice did something that was horribly unfortunate. Y'all remember Ray Rice punched out his girlfriend in the elevator, dragged her out by her hair. Absolutely terrible, inexcusable. But then the question becomes, should Ray Rice have lost his entire ability to ever make a living ever again as a football player because of that incident? Was that appropriate? Or if somebody is falsely accused of sexual assault and somebody wants to give them 25 years in prison, where they're going to be getting beaten and raped for the next 25 years, is that an appropriate punishment? So I wonder if one day we can live in a world where the punishment fits the crime, because it almost seems like for black men, we have to be extra, extra careful, more careful than everybody else. Because if we get accused of one little thing, even if we didn't even do it, it can take everything from us. Absolutely everything. I don't like that.
Yeah, I think we need to focus more on rehabilitating people. I mean, because if you have an anger management issue, that doesn't mean that you're a terrible person. That means that it's your it's in your power to fix it. Because if you don't fix it, bad things are going to continue to happen to you. So it's an alarm system. It's a wake up call. It's saying, okay, there's something about me that I need to improve upon. I need to get better. I need to learn how to solve conflicts peacefully. And I don't have the ability to do it because of your background and getting triggered and all of these things. You have the responsibility, especially as a grown adult, to be able to take your mental health seriously because there's a lot on the line if you can't control yourself. You can't walk up to somebody and slap them in the face because they say something that you don't like. Like you can't walk around like this. It just doesn't operate. We can't operate that way. So there's consequences to what happens when you don't get your shit together, basically. And there's plenty of resources out there for you to do that. So it's a wake up call. It's a sign that there's some things he needs fixed in his life. There's some holes he needs to patch up in his world so that he can continue to be successful. Yeah.
Well, you know what I appreciate. You know what I appreciate about like high quality black women or black women who love me, love us black men. What I appreciate about black women who love black men who really have our back is that smart black women like y'all know the difference between the type of dude you need to call the police on and the type of dude you don't. You know, like or the type of guy that you need to report to HR and the type of guy who just thinks that you're cute. You know, I know that sounds weird, but it's a subtle difference. Like I can even think about when I think about women I respect and I can hear them tell stories about things that happen with men that you know to me I thought were not cool in the sense that like I'm like okay he was putting it on hot and heavy, he shouldn't have been trying, he shouldn't have been pushing that hard. But and the woman literally, if it had been a white woman, she would have called HR, got him fired, called the police, got him locked up, ruined his life, ruined his career, and took all his money. Whereas, one credit I'll give to like just the quality women in the community that really have our back is there's like that room for grace. Good black women give us like a little bit of a margin of error that society does not give us. 16 years ago, I wrote a book called "What If George Bush Were a Black Man," and I think it's out there on Amazon if you ever want to go look at it. But in that book, I did a statistical analysis of what would have happened with a guy like a George Bush if he'd been a black instead of white. Like, what would have happened? George Bush was not the hardest working guy, but he wasn't like super lazy. He wasn't the smartest bulb on the tree, but he wasn't the dumbest. He wasn't a corrupt criminal totally, but he wasn't a law abiding citizen. And my conclusion was that if George Bush had been a black man, he'd be dead or in jail because the world does not give black men that many second chances. The world does not give black men grace or margin of error. So you make one mistake, you get on your job, you sleep with a lady that you sleep with some lady on the job. Next thing you know, your whole career is gone, or they done fired you, and ruined your whole career because you slept with somebody on the job, or you say something to a woman that gets taken the wrong way. Next thing you know, somebody's accusing you of being a predator or whatever. And I just think that that's patently unfair. And so in the case of Jonathan Majors, what I see in the community and what I'm happy about is that it looks like a lot of people are giving him um, some degree of benefit of the doubt, in which he deserves because he is young and talented and has potential. But what I would encourage people not to do is to get into this idea that because he's one of your favorite celebrities, that he couldn't have possibly done something inappropriate. And the advice I would give to him if I knew him personally is I would say, look, man, you're at a different level. You got to operate in different circles. You can't hang with the same people. You can't put yourself in the same situations because the consequences are so much greater. And there's probably literally, literally, if you were to add up the amount of money that people have invested in him right now as an asset, the amount of money in terms of franchises, the Marvel franchise, the Creed franchise, all these franchises that are invested in him right now, it will be well over $1 billion. So for the most part, there's like $1 billion in wealth on your back, bro. So you're gonna have to be careful, man. You can't run around like a regular 33-year-old guy. You gotta just really be smart and responsible. Now, Dr. Alicia, babe, I'll let you get the last word before we bounce out of here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're saying is so accurate. And I think that's the reason why a lot of Black women, when they are being abused, they don't call the police for that very reason. They're just like, I would call the police, but I don't want to put my husband or my boyfriend in a situation where they're now in the hands of some racist white cop who's going to take out all their anger issues with Black people out on my husband or out on my friends. So Black women are less likely to call the police, honestly. And if they do, it's a very difficult decision that a lot of them make because of racism. So it just makes it way more complex. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hearing you.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining us for this conversation. This is Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. If everyone could please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe before we bounce out of here. Also, hit the notification bell to be notified when we go live. My wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. She sees clients on a regular basis. If you'd like to learn more about the work that she does, please visit coachingwithdralicia.com. That URL is on the screen. And also, if you go to my website, boycewatkins.com, I've got a list of really great AI stocks that I'm going to invest in. And so you can go to boycewatkins.com and take a look at that list of stocks that I believe are going to make money in the next 10 to 20 years. Not even 20 years, more like 5 to 10 years. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com. And also, last but not least, my new book, it's an Amazon bestseller. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can find that at either boycewatkins.com or you can just go to Amazon and pick up a copy. And we're going to do a deep dive analysis on this book in Houston on April 21st for 2 days for the Black Wealth Boot Camp. So if you'd like to join us in Houston, just visit boycewatkins.com. So God bless you guys. Have a good night. And thanks a lot, babe, for hanging out with me. I appreciate it.
Oh man, you got to take care of yourself. You sound terrible right now.
I know. My voice is
Oh
coming
my
out.
goodness. Let me know.
I
Text me
told,
if you need anything.
yeah, I told him earlier I sound like Morgan Freeman on crack. But but anyway, have a good night, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye. Peace.